the night Emily Carter stepped out of the hotel. She didn't know her life was about to tilt in a direction she would never forget. Cold air hit her face the moment the glass doors closed behind her. Inside, music thumped, glasses clinked, and laughter floated like smoke. Outside, Chicago felt quieter, sharper, more honest. Emily pulled her coat tighter and unlocked her phone. Her ride app glowed blue in the dark. The wedding reception had been beautiful. Soft lights, white flowers, everyone smiling. She really had, but pretending happiness took more energy than she had left. So she slipped out early, the way she always did, unnoticed by most, especially by her husband. She stepped closer to the curb, heels clicking on the pavement, and watched traffic slide past. Her reflection stared back at her from the hotel window's brown hair, carefully styled. Makeup still perfect. Eyes tired in a way makeup couldn't fix. Emily. Her shoulders stiffened. She turned, expecting to see a coworker or distant relative. Instead, she saw Daniel Whitmore. He stood a few feet away, hands in his coat pockets, tall and calm like he always was. Mark's boss, Mark's hero. "Oh," Emily said, surprised. "Hi, Daniel. Didn't mean to startle you," he said. His voice was steady, polite. "I'm just waiting for a taxi," she said quickly, lifting her phone as proof, as if she needed an excuse to stand alone. He nodded, figured as much. There was an awkward pause. Emily hated those. She glanced back at her phone. 4 minutes. Daniel shifted slightly, looking at the street, then back at her. "You left early." She forced a small smile. "I'm not great at late nights." "That's not what I meant," he said gently. Emily blinked. He didn't press the point. Instead, he stood beside her, giving her space. Uncomfortable, just unexpected. "You always leave quietly," Daniel added after a moment. "Christmas party. Office dinner last spring. Tonight." Emily laughed softly, more embarrassed than amused. "I guess I'm predictable. Or considerate," he said. "Some people know when to step away." She looked at him then. Really looked. He wasn't smiling, but his expression wasn't cold either. It was thoughtful, observant, like he noticed things others missed. "I didn't realize anyone noticed," she said. Daniel met her eyes. "Some of us do." Her phone buzzed in her hand. She ignored it. For some reason, this conversation felt more important than an arriving car. They stood there as the wind picked up, tugging at her hair. Emily crossed her arms, not just from the cold. "Mark enjoying himself?" Daniel asked. "I think so," she said. "He always does at these things." Daniel hummed, not agreeing or disagreeing. "He works hard." "Yes," Emily said quickly. "He does." Another pause. This one heavier. Daniel cleared his throat. "Emily, can I say something? Off the record?" Her heart skipped, though she didn't know why. "Sure," he hesitated. Just a second, long enough to show he was choosing his words carefully. "Mark is lucky," Daniel said. "Not just professionally, personally." She frowned slightly. "Lucky. To have someone who stays," he continued. "Someone patient." The words landed harder than she expected. Her chest tightened. "I don't know what you mean," she said, though part of her did. Daniel looked down the street, then back at her. "I've seen many people climb fast and forget to look behind. Then they assume what's there will always be there." Emily swallowed. "Some people don't realize," he said quietly, "that they're slowly losing something precious." Her breath caught. For a second, the city noise faded. All she heard was his voice and the soft rush of blood in her ears. No one had ever said that to her before. Not so plainly. Not so kindly. She stopped. Words failed her. Daniel straightened, as if realizing he'd crossed an invisible line. "I shouldn't have said that. Forgive me." "No," Emily said quickly. "It's okay." But was it? Her phone buzzed again. "Your taxi has arrived." She glanced down, then back up. Daniel had already taken a step back, distance returning like a wall sliding into place. "Good night, Emily," he said. "Take care of yourself." "You too," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. She climbed into the taxi, hands trembling slightly as she shut the door. The driver pulled away, the hotel shrinking behind them. Emily stared out the window, her reflection layered over the city lights. Daniel's words echoed again and again in her mind. Slowly losing something precious. She pressed her lips together, fighting the sting behind her eyes. At home, the apartment was dark and quiet. She kicked off her shoes and set her purse down gently, like loud sounds might break her. She changed into pajamas and sat on the edge of the bed, staring at nothing. When Mark came home an hour later, she heard the door before she heard him. "Em," he called, voice loose, cheerful. "You still awake?" "Yes," she said. He walked into the bedroom, jacket slung over his shoulder, tie undone. "Great night," he said. "You should have stayed longer." She nodded. "I was tired." He kissed her forehead, already turning away. "I'm beat. Big week coming up." She laid back as he fell asleep beside her within minutes. Emily stared at the ceiling, wide awake. She wasn't angry. She wasn't jealous. She wasn't even sure she was sad. She just felt invisible. And for the first time in years, someone had noticed. Not with desire, not with expectation, with understanding. As dawn crept through the curtains, Emily closed her eyes. Daniel's words still lingering like a quiet warning she didn't know how to answer yet. Sunlight pushed through the kitchen window, landing on the table where 2 coffee cups sat untouched. Mark stood by the counter, scrolling through emails, tie half nodded already somewhere else. Emily watched him for a long moment, her heart beating fast, not from fear, but from knowing she couldn't wait any longer. "Mark," she said. He glanced up. "Yeah, we need to talk." Something in her voice made him stop. He sat down across from her, phone face down, eyebrows drawn together. "What's wrong?" he asked. Emily took a breath. "I feel—" The words came out clean and clear, surprising even her. She didn't cry, she didn't shout, she just spoke. Mark blinked. "What do you mean?" "I'm here," she said, pressing her hand flat on the table, "but you don't see me anymore. I go to your events, I smile, I wait alone." "And when?" "I didn't know you felt this way." "That's the problem," Emily said softly. "You didn't know." Silence filled the room. Not angry silence. Honest silence. Mark rubbed his face. "I thought I was doing everything right. Working hard. Building our future." "I know. But it cracked something open. And sometimes that's where light gets in." The days after were uncomfortable. Mark tried too hard at first, asking questions like a checklist. Emily didn't blame him. Change is awkward when people are scared of losing each other. They started walking together in the evenings, no phones, no work talk. Just streets, breath, and quiet honesty. Some nights were easy, others were heavy, but they were real. A week later, Emily flew with Mark to Toronto for a company fundraiser. She almost stayed home. Old habits pulled at her. But she went. The venue was elegant, warm, filled with soft music and polite conversation. Emily held Mark's arm, feeling both close and far from him at the same time. That was when she saw Daniel. He stood near the window, talking with a small group, posture relaxed, eyes calm. When he noticed her, his expression shifted, not surprise, but recognition. "Emily," he said, stepping closer. "Good to see you. You too," she replied. Mark was called away moments later. Emily found herself alone with Daniel. "Again, you look tired," Daniel said. She smiled honestly. "So do you." He chuckled quietly. "Fair." They stood side by side, watching the city lights beyond the glass. "Things okay?" he asked. Emily hesitated, then nodded. "Moving. That's something," he said. She turned to him. "You once said not to wait." His eyes softened. "Did you?" Yes, she said. It was hard, but I did. Daniel let out a slow breath, like someone setting down a heavy weight. I'm glad. There was no romance in that moment, no crossing of lines. Just two adults understanding each other without needing more. I learned the hard way, Daniel said after a pause. Silence ends more relationships than betrayal. Emily nodded. I see that now. A few days later, Daniel announced his transfer to a different branch. The news rippled through the office like a quiet storm. Mark was proud, sad, grateful. On Daniel's last day, Emily received a small envelope. Inside was a single note. You chose your voice. That matters. Never stop. She folded it carefully and placed it in her bag. Life didn't turn perfect after that. Marriage rarely does, but it turned honest. Mark learned to listen without fixing. Emily learned to speak without waiting. They argued. They laughed. They rebuilt slowly with intention. Years later, Emily would think back to the night she waited for a taxi in the cold, not with regret, not with longing, gratitude. One sentence, spoken at the right moment, reminded her she mattered. And she never forgot that again.